This is breaking news.
Breaking news, tensions outside the ICE facility in South Portland rising. Katu is on your side. Our crews are bringing you the latest from the field. In just a few minutes, we'll get to a new ruling from a federal judge, which temporarily blocks the Trump administration from deploying federal troops into Portland. Thank you for joining us for K2 News at 11. I'm Tanvi Verma. Let's get right to K2's Jennifer Singh. Jen, you've been at the ICE building for several hours. What are you seeing?
Well, Tanvi, it is still very active as of this evening. It has been the whole day, but let me step out of the way so you can get the picture for yourself. Now, it looks like there are about 200 protesters maybe still outside the facility this evening, including people both for and against the deployment of the National Guard. Now, it was just about 2 hours ago that we saw the height of tensions here so far tonight. We witnessed federal agents deploy several rounds of pepper balls, flashbangs, and tear gas to get people out of the street to make way for cars leaving the facility. That tear gas also hitting us during an interview. Take a look.
And then I don't understand. Oh, I'm good.
It's coming again, guys.
I don't understand what's going on. We're
Now, just before the tear gas and other chemical crowd control devices were deployed, we also saw about 2 to 3 people taken into custody. We are still waiting on confirmation from Portland Police this evening about just how many arrests were made. But since early afternoon, we've seen between 5 and 6 people being handcuffed, some being dragged inside by ICE agents. We actually talked with one protester who was arrested earlier this afternoon, who described what the situation was like inside the facility.
We were sitting in there with chemicals covering our clothes, and they would not get us like other clothes to change into. So we're all in there coughing and hacking because they use chemical weapons on us in the street, and yet we're stuck in a cell where we can't even change.
Now, Holly tells me she was charged with trespassing on federal property. Now, it's during the instances where federal agents and protesters clash and arrests are made where people in favor of the ICE agents are praising them, thanking them for their work. And tonight, we have really seen the two groups rallying side by side with one another, but we have not seen too many interactions between the two sides, just mostly interactions between officers and the crowd. Now, one other thing we did see this evening that we have not seen yet so far, or rather during the day, was protesters blocking the entire street from McAdam all the way down here to Moody, with protesters themselves mitigating traffic. We've not seen that yet since the protests started since Monday so far. Now, we will have more information coming up for you later on in just a few minutes, but for now, I'll toss it back to you. Live in South Portland tonight, Jennifer Singh, K2 News.
Great work, Jen. Stay safe out there. All right, now back to the judge's ruling. The pause on the National Guard will technically last 2 weeks, though a lot can. The Trump administration has already filed an appeal. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield says he'll keep asking for more pauses, that is, until the judge can reach a final decision. This comes after President Donald Trump called for the deployment of the National Guard to protect ICE agents in the ICE facility in South Portland. However, a federal judge sided with the state of Oregon and the city of Portland, ruling that the plaintiffs would be irreparably harmed without a pause.
Today's ruling halts what appears to be the president's attempt to normalize the United States military and our cities.
As the judge noted in her decision, we provided substantial evidence that the protests at the Portland ICE facility were not significantly violent or disruptive in the days or even the weeks leading up to the president's directive.
Since mid-June, the Department of Justice says they've charged 28 people for federal offenses committed at the ICE building. Those charges include assaulting federal officers, failure to comply, and depredation of government property. Tonight, Governor Tina Kotek also weighing in.
This ruling puts us on the right side of history. And while the fight is far from over, Oregon remains united and ready to defend our values and our rights today, tomorrow, and for as long as it takes.
She also called out the president, saying, quote, "The only threat we face to our democracy, it is being led by Donald Trump." Shortly after the decision came down, the White House gave us this response, reading, President Trump exercised his lawful authority to protect federal assets and personnel in Portland following violent riots and attacks on law enforcement. We expect to be vindicated by a higher court. And back in June, California Governor Gavin Newsom and Attorney General Rob Bonta also filed a temporary restraining order. Like Portland, the TRO was to block the deployment of federal troops. That TRO was granted. In total, the Trump administration deployed 4,000 California National Guard troops and 700 Marines. Most of the troops had been recalled by the president at the end of July. It was the first time in 60 years that a president had deployed the National Guard, that against the wishes of the state's governor. And before that, the last time this happened was to protect protesters with the civil rights movement. The president also plans to send the National Guard to Illinois. That's according to the state's Democratic governor, J.B. Pritzker, who criticizes the move. Pritzker says the Pentagon informed 300 troops this morning that they'd be deployed. President Trump has long threatened to send troops to Chicago, which has protested ICE and CBP officials. And peaceful and tense moments tonight at the ICE facility in South Portland today. Protesters held up signs chanting different rallying cries as they walked towards the ICE facility. Tensions escalated slowly as some protesters began interacting, sometimes screaming at what happened to be the Department of Homeland Security employees. Protesters were sprayed with some sort of gas and were left coughing. The area filled with different colors of smoke. And as Jennifer mentioned earlier today, traffic is being affected by protests. The Portland Police Bureau has been making announcements on the social media site X about crowd and traffic control near the ICE facility in South Portland. PPB saying the roads South Moody Avenue and South Bancroft Street in front of the ICE facility remain open to drivers. Police say they're ensuring the area remains accessible for the community members to pass through. And while some are protesting the decision, others applauding the officers coming to Portland. One commenter begging the National Guard to take care of what he says is the big problem in Portland. He says, quote, eliminate the homeless from taking over so many areas. It's out of control. All the money spent these years, and it's no better. Another supporter of the troop deployment thanking ICE, the National Guard, and President Donald Trump. He promises the president's supporters won't let him down. We're also tracking an investigation into the Portland Police Department. It comes after a conservative influencer, Nick Sortor, was arrested at the ICE facility. It happened this past Thursday night. Police say they arrested 3 people, including Sortor, after fights broke out. This video shared with us by Mark Wilson showing Sortor getting handcuffed. All 3 people were booked on disorderly conduct charges. Sortor's arrest caught the attention of the Trump administration.
Just last night, we saw an extremely troubling incident where conservative journalist Nick Sortor was captured on video being taken into custody by the Portland police after he was ambushed by Antifa and was defending himself from these assaults.
Sortor posted on X that Attorney General Pam Bondi contacted him personally to tell him she'd be ordering an investigation into Portland police over the arrest. The Department of Justice confirmed this to Katu. Portland Police Chief Bob Day says his team of officers has been, quote, consistent and transparent when it comes to arrests during these ongoing protests. When talking about last night's arrest of Sortor, this is what the chief had to say.
And that's where we need to start bringing the temperature down, because we are seeing all of these different perspectives and all of these different opinions gather in this small 1-block area, and then unable to manage that in an appropriate way. And so we have these acts of violence. We have these fights. We have these assaults. They are occurring. We are doing investigations. We are making arrests, and we are sending those over to the district attorney's office for evaluation and hopeful prosecution. And we're going to continue to do that.
Right now, Sortor is out of jail and is due in court on Monday. Katu reached out to him via call and text, and he did not get back to us. And this is a developing story. We're in the field tracking the latest developments as they happen. For an extensive list of statements and responses from other lawmakers and officials, you can head to our website at katu.com. You can also find our past coverage from when these events started to unfold.